One, two, three, four.
Welcome to the church with a two-drink minimum. Welcome to the church with a two-drink minimum.
We are interfaith, interspiritual, God optional. So relax and get ready for a celebration. Welcome to the church with a two-drink minimum. One more time now. Welcome to the church with a two-drink minimum.
Three doggies is right work. You are here with Church with a two-drink minimum with your two favorite people, I'm sure, right? Your two most favorite people in the world. This incredible, the love of my life, the Reverend Yolanda here,
gosh.
and I'm your favorite anarchist preacher, Glen Ganaway.
Yes, you are.
And
You're
we're here to
certainly my favorite anarchist preacher.
I know.
Glen
Yeah, we all need one. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite preacher?
Yeah, I think people probably do.
Well, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, so
Yes, you did.
preachers and all this other stuff they were kind of like celebrities. You know, we had
Celebrities.
itinerant preachers, and they would travel the circuit, right? You'd have the revival circuit.
Oh, I know the revival circuit.
Remember the
That
revival
was fun.
circuit? Did you ever have a revival circuit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so those were really how I grew up in. Those were celebrities.
Yeah.
You know, those in the world I grew up with, a revival intent preacher was a celebrity. You know, so if they had trading cards, I probably would have collected all of them. You know, evangelical, preacher cards. Well, cut all your favorite preachers.
That's awesome.
I know. So
Happy Mother's Day.
all that to say,
All that to
Happy
say,
Mother's Day.
because we just called your mom.
We did.
And
We called her mother, by the way.
right. We just called your mom. We called her mother.
Yes, we did.
And she was the wife of your father, who was a preacher. So all of that ties in together somehow. And
Mother's Day is Mother's Day was huge
big
in our
event
church.
in our church. Yeah.
They gave out a bouquet of.
Yeah.
They handed out a bouquet of roses
Yeah.
to the oldest mother. And to the newest mother. Did your church do that?
Oh, actually,
they had to go.
did
everybody they had to. So it was like arguing among the women about who was going to admit to be the oldest woman in the room. That was always the joke. Everybody knew who the newest mother was, but the oldest mother was always a bone of contention.
Well, I claim oldest mother rights in this
She's the
room.
oldest mother in the room.
Right
This
now.
is definitely true. So we got her Mother's Day dress
Got a Mother's
on.
Day dress on. See, so pretty.
I know, and I'm all dressed up and stuff. I don't have my boutonniere on, right?
Oh, we
You're
forgot
supposed to have
boutonnieres.
boutonnieres and corsages,
I know.
right? For Mother's Day. But mothering is something that I think is a real spiritual role.
Absolutely.
You know,
and, many people. Other than female-bodied people, too, also perform mothering roles.
mothering and fathering.
Yes,
Right,
mothering and fathering.
but
yeah.
coaching is another kind of mothering thing to do. To be a coach or to be a mentor, like I'm a certified mentor. I'm a certified facilitator.
Right.
So those are kind of like the masculine and feminine aspects of community development. Right, and that's what you're doing with a family, right? Is encouraging your kids to flower and to bloom. And what does a mother do? She makes sure that the environment creates a beautiful child, creates a smart child, right? She works on the environment and works on the environment. You want to get in the right neighborhood. You want to get clean clothes. You want to put good food so the kid will grow well. That's a mother. That's what mothering does, is creates the conditions for your thriving.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the earth does this.
Yeah, I know. So Mother Earth.
Mother Earth.
It's just, I wanted to share, today I'm going to share a song called Twameva / Love Lifted Me. It's a tribute to my mom, and it shows a photograph of her in high school. She was, such an amazing woman, full of beauty on the outside and inside, and also had quite a stubborn streak, which I inherited. So we'll share a lot about that today. The reason why I'm saying this right now is because of the homily this morning, which was very interesting to me. And when we started talking about every circumstance being an opportunity to see the divinity in the person maybe you're having conflict with, or to learn a lesson.
We talk about that a lot, right?
And in today's talk that you're going to give also sort of talks about that, because we're talking about how love attracts love, or like attracts like, and your thoughts attract, you know, what they attract. And so quickly, this is very quick, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but...
I encourage you to tell my lesson. Well, what am I doing? Then what do I need to be here for?
No, it's not that. I'm going to talk about I want to talk about my experience this week with our car. So, but I'm not. It was a long, drawn out story over, and it's still not done. But
how these principles work in our lives.
How these principles work in our lives, yeah. So when we were talking this morning in the homily about every situation being an opportunity, that made me really want to share with you the opportunity that I had this week while dealing with our car. Because so we had a problem. It had to be towed to the garage. We got to the place, and they wanted to charge us an exorbitant amount of money to fix this problem, which our dealership where we bought it could fix it for a lot less. So we decided that we would have the car taken to the dealership where we bought it. Well, so I had to get a tow truck to come get the car to take it out of the dealership, and out of the place where it was supposed to get fixed, and they lost my car. They didn't know where it was.
The garage lost our car. Maybe you didn't hear that.
Yeah, the
car broke. We towed it in. They said it's going to take this long to fix it. We said no. We're going to have this other people fix it because they're friends and they know this car really well. So we go to pick up the car, and they go, "What? What car?
But
we don't have the car. We don't have the keys. We don't know anything you're talking about."
Right. So there's no car. So now I'm doing this. There's a tow truck driver because it had to be towed again. It's not drivable. So there's a tow truck driver, and he waited for 4 hours
while they found
our car.
What would you do? Where would your mind be if you went to the garage that you had your car at, and they didn't have any idea who you were or what your car was or anything? Now, where would your mind be? What would be going through your head at the moments when all of this was happening? Bizarre world.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it truly was an opportunity for me. And you know what I was doing? I described it earlier in the week to our Wednesday night class as being easy to work with this. Chop shop, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I went to the chop shop. We were worried about that.
We were. But the first thing that popped into my mind was, instead of ranting and raving, I trust my brothers who are one with me. Now, that's a Course in Miracles lesson that I've been working with a lot. So I began saying that to myself all day, because I literally Glen was at work, and I was taking care of it, and I literally had to place my trust in those around me, even though they were behaving badly, right? So it was a very unique and unusual experience, but we got through the other side. But it really kept me calm. So I didn't.
You didn't lose your mind.
I did not lose my mind. I did not scream at anyone. I did not, really get that upset. I was just able to stay in the present as the situation developed, and I'm handling all these phone calls and in difficult behavior with people, and all this kind of stuff. And so I found something within me. I found the divinity within me that enabled me to see the divinity in others despite the circumstances. Now, it's kind of big for me because, like, many...
Well, she isn't known for playing well with others.
Right. When I get upset, I get upset. And, I can have a few things to say every now and then when I'm displeased.
Great for collaborations. She's great for collaborations. But it's like, get in the way of where she wants to go or what she wants to do.
I have a temper, let's say.
Yeah.
But, I was able to remain calm, and I'm just sharing that because I felt like it connected with what we were talking about in homily this morning, I'm so blessed to have that experience and to know that I can reach into my toolbox and really work with this now. You know what I mean? And I just want to say that it was relatively easy to do.
It's always, don't you find that it's, once you learn a lesson, or like maybe you've been hit up the inside the head with it a couple of times, it finally sticks.
Yeah.
You kind of look back and you go, oh my God, this was so obvious.
Yeah.
This was so absolutely mind-numbingly obvious, and I resisted it so long. So this consequences that we've convinced ourselves we're going to have if we adopt some spiritual principle. It's going to take away our identity. We're going to lose. The idea of losing. Right. I don't want to change my mind. I don't want to change my pattern. I don't want to change my behavior because I'll lose something that I find valuable. That's a threat that never happens.
Right.
Okay? It's just a threat, because when you implement these things, or like the way the Course says, work with the laws of God.
Right.
You work with what is, actually good things happen. If that's what you want to happen. Right.
Cheers to mind training.
I know, mind training. How about that?
There we go.
Speaking of mind training.
Speaking of mind training, let's do our sing-along. Because, you know what? This song has been the cornerstone
Change your life
of the year for us. And so I hope by now that you know it too. Here we go.
Sing along.
Let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
And you can't change God.
'Cause you can't change God.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You and me.
So you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know
what anything is for.
What anything is for.
Unless I listen to that still small voice.
I have a still small voice
telling me.
It's telling me
this simple truth.
This simple truth.
That everything
is for my good. Sing it.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
You can't change.
'Cause you can't change God.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
So you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace.
I'm not this body.
What? I'm not this body?
I love my body.
I love it too.
Why, thank you. I'm not this body.
I'm not this body
that you see.
That you see.
I am as
God
created me.
She created me.
And we are all.
One family.
One family. And it's possible.
Yes, it's possible
to live in peace.
To live in peace.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
You can't change
'Cause you can't change God.
So let things be.
Let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
And you and me
will live in peace.
We live in peace.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya. We have been singing that song for
a long time.
no, for almost 10 years.
Well,
now.
hey, Arizona!
Yay!
Yay!
We've been singing that song for quite some time, and
A long
it
time.
just keeps getting more and more fun to sing.
Yeah.
You know, we really started out learning that song and thinking of like being a kid in Bible school.
Right.
Do you remember Bible
Just
school?
little camp songs.
A little camp song, everything that we used to do and repeat and everything like that. And it was so simple. And we got into the Course of Miracles, and it was like, it's deceptively simple.
It's deceptively
And
simple.
it's like,
yeah.
oh, we just keep finding more and more layers with this lesson about
Yeah.
letting things be exactly as they are.
are.
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Because things should change.
Right.
You know,
Things
this should change,
Right.
right? You want to change, don't you? You know, it's like totally flips that idea on its head. It says, I want to be authentic. I want to be who God created, not my creation.
Yeah.
Right? I want to express and live as an authentic expression of divinity,
Yeah,
and to
absolutely.
participate in the divinity of others and the divinity and the presence of God that is all around me.
Truly.
And if I can see that, I don't need to do anything with it. The world doesn't need my manipulation, right? Because it's already in the oneness, right? It's already
Oh.
living. It's already okay.
I love
Right.
that. The world does not need my manipulation.
Well, we think
I
it
love
does,
it. I
don't
know.
we? We
I
really think things
I
should
certainly
change.
do.
You know,
I
because
certainly do.
uh-huh.
Well, let's read the lesson for today because.
Oh yeah, this is so good.
Yeah, actually, we're going to start with the lesson before, which says, "The world I see holds nothing that I want."
The world I see
Well,
holds...
I'm going to play that in just a little while. So briefly, yesterday the lessons were saying the world I see holds nothing that I want.
Powerful.
The world you see holds nothing that you need to offer you, nothing that you can use it anyway, nor anything at all that serves to give you joy.
That's the first sentence.
That's the first sentence. But believe this thought, and you were saved from years of misery, from countless disappointments, and from hopes that turn to bitter ashes and despair. You know.
Whose life? How many parts of your life could you describe that way? Or
Seriously.
periods in your life could you describe that way? High school, maybe.
Exactly. I know. No one but must accept this thought as true if he would leave the world behind and soar beyond its petty scope and little ways.
See, the little world. This is escaping from the little world.
Exactly. Now
love
let's
it.
see what she has to
Beyond
say
this world.
today. So today is beyond this world there is a world I want. And I love how this lesson starts today because it says this is the thought that follows from the one we practiced yesterday. You cannot stop with the idea the world is worthless, for unless you see that there is something else to hope for, you will only be depressed. Now, that's an important point right there, because sometimes we can become, in this nihilistic mood.
Well, we can get obsessed with what doesn't work.
Right, we can get obsessed.
We can get marred down in our own upset. Right? Have you ever not been able to pull yourself out of a funk before?
Oh, yeah.
You just get so wrapped up in the story, wrapped up in the thing, that it sometimes takes somebody to come and bonk you on the head to get you
sure.
out of your funk.
For sure. That's usually
me. No. Hopefully you've got many people that will bonk you,
yeah.
and you'll
right.
bonk others.
Well, that's why we have friends, and that's
Right.
why we have Awakening Together and all of our wonderful community here.
Practice with your friends. It's a
So, just to review before we go into the meditation, the world I see holds nothing that I want. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. Yay.
And that's a promise.
It is a promise.
And it's an inner knowing as well. Do you know you want a better world?
So, let's take these thoughts into our meditation. And I'm going to follow our meditation with a Mother's Day song, actually. And I'm going to wait till the end of the program to share with you my song, The World I See Holds Nothing That I Want. But now I'm going to bring us all into our circle of love meditation and follow that with Twameva, Love Lifted Me, an ode to the divine feminine. So let's breathe together 3 times.
Yay.
And each bell ring has a breath. And on the 3rd breath, release your breath with an Om. Here we go. The sound of Om, the sound of unconditional love, the sound of this circle of love that we are co-creating together right now, right here in this Awakening Together room. We're so glad that you're here with us right now, consciously co-creating this circle of love with us. And so, as we allow this love to bubble up inside of us, as we recognize that we are unconditional love incarnated in the world, which is an amazing experience, as we realize the joy of this, let's allow that unconditional love to bubble up inside our hearts, inside our minds and souls, and spill out into the rooms that we're inhabiting with those that are inhabiting those rooms with us. Our friends, our family, our loves, our animals, and let's allow that love to flow out into the buildings that we're living in, and the neighborhoods, and our cities, and our streets, and our states, our country, and beyond our country, to embrace the entire world. And in this circle of love, we do know that it includes everything that we like and everything that we do not like, which I had an awesome opportunity to practice this week. So let us know that everything that we don't like is in our circle of love too, because we can learn something from that. And so in this circle of love, we acknowledge and we recognize that we are inhabiting land that once belonged to our Native American ancestors. And in our particular spot right here in Brooklyn, that's the Lenape tribe. And when we're in Vermont, that's the Abenaki tribe. And in this circle of unconditional love, we acknowledge and we declare that Black lives matter and Black trans lives matter. And we know and we declare that human consciousness is shifting, and we are moving into a new age. And so with that celebration, that consciousness shift, we celebrate love, the love of the divine feminine. Love lifts me and you, and so it is. Blessed be. Oh, beloved, you are mother and father. You are friend and companion. You are riches. You are wisdom. You are the eternal divine guide. Twameva mata, chapita twameva. Twameva bandush,
Chasaka Twameva. Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva. Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. I was sinking in despair, far from the shore, feeling sorry for myself, sinking to rise no more. But the mighty Mama Deva heard my cry. From the waters lifted me, now safe am I. Love lifted me, oh love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. All my heart to love I give, ever to grace I'll sing. In this presence daily live, ever to faith I'll cling. Love so mighty and so true merits my soul's best songs. Faithful, loving service to all life belongs. Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva. Twameva Bandush Chasaka Twameva. Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva. Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Love lifted me, oh love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. Love lifted me, oh love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. Love
I really like it. Somebody you could put that song on loop. It's just it could go on, just go on forever. But
Just sort of a meditative
I know.
thing.
Or-
Hi, I want to say hi to Connie. Hi,
I know,
Connie.
So that song always reminds me of being in church.
It does me too.
That
Well,
was a hymn,
Love
right?
Lifted Me is the hymn from church that you probably remember that from growing up, Connie, don't you? That
Love Lifted
song,
Me?
Love Lifted Me. Love lifted me, oh, love lifted me. Yeah. So I combined George does too. I don't know
Mashed up.
if Arizona if they sang that in your church when you were growing up, but it's something that I've always loved, and
A lot of those old hymns
are
right?
really beautiful. And I
Really
love
beautiful.
to intertwine them with sort of the Eastern way of thinking. So Twameva,
What does Tomeva mean?
well, Twameva is an ode to the divine feminine, you
Okay.
know. So I'd have
Well,
to
you
go.
had your mother,
Yes.
Tara, Gaia.
Yeah. All of that is like Ma, in praise of the mother, the divine feminine. And so
The creative
the
aspect.
creative aspect, yeah. And that's our subject for today in your
It is.
message,
It is.
actually.
It is. It is.
How love attracts love, So, so let's talk about it. Let's go to your lesson.
We know this. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction on this because
Yeah.
it's a principle I think that a lot of us think we do already know, but to be reminded of how subtle it is. Now, if anything is true, if you can know something, we should be able to, or one should be able to, if we want to should on ourselves, we can say you should be able to apply the idea or apply the principle or apply the lesson across a broad spectrum. Right. If you learn something or learn a principle, you should be able to apply it at work, apply it to your inner life, apply it to your direct relationships, apply it to your relationship with food or whatever it is, whatever the principle is.
Or the garage where your car is being repaired.
Yeah, your car, things.
Hey, Jackie.
So if we can integrate a principle, we can integrate it throughout our whole lives. We can apply the lesson. We can apply this knowing to more than one thing. So this idea that like attracts like is something that I think we feel like we've already know well enough.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. But I'm here to introduce the idea that it's a lot more subtle and ubiquitous and hides in obvious places that we may not be necessarily thinking about. Because very often what we like to do as spiritual people is look at the shiny top and we don't turn over the rock. Right?
Well, how about
To
my
look
shiny top today?
So we don't look at we don't look under the principle, or we don't look at the foundations of this principle. So here, thank you. So the idea that we're going to look at today comes from chapter 12. Chapter 12 is the Holy Spirit's curriculum. Now we've talked a little bit about this before in the way that the Course in Miracles lays out like how she's going to transform your life. And that was a couple of chapters back. And then we meet our teacher. We get the first 5 chapters are really about how the world actually works. And then we meet the teacher, and she goes, "This is why this works and how this works." You meet your mighty companions, and then she says, we need to get busy now. And she hands you the curriculum. The first thing she says is, "You have a split mind." Right.
What?
The first thing one of the first things she wants us to understand is that we actually see things. We were raised in one thing. Our minds are set up to understand one thing, but but we want to experience something else, so it doesn't mesh with reality. So it splits our mind. In a healthy way, we ask for reintegration. In an unhealthy way, it's called disassociation.
Right.
And she uses this word in the Course in Miracles a lot. It means that disassociation means that you're trying to prove 2 things that cannot both be true.
True. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when the conflict and suffering comes from trying to believe or act on two things that can't both be true. Right?
Okay.
So the first concept. So she says, "What is a split mind?" In the negatively, or actually in a healthy way, it's actually what Marie Antoinette said: to have your cake and eat it too. She didn't mean it that way,
Okay.
but that's kind of what this idea is. It doesn't take, you don't lose, right? Because the idea of one part of a split mind is that if I embrace the world, I'll lose myself. And the other part, of the split mind is, it's healthy and better and survivable to be alone, to be by myself, to be separate from everybody else. It's safer, right? And we're trying to prove we act like both of those things are true.
Now, what was the first one again?
Oneness. Oneness causes us to lose.
Oh, we think in our ego mind that oneness.
Well, that's what the Course is offering. That's what all spiritual books say.
Right.
Because we're not a separate thing.
Right.
So there's life happening here. We're all part of that. So how do you get to that understanding? We call that awakening, or the reducing of suffering.
Right.
We come to the Course in Miracles because we come to a lot of things because we want our suffering to end.
Right.
Because we want our lives to change.
Right.
We want to understand something different so that we can have a more pleasant experience as a human being.
Sure.
So we don't have pleasant experiences, or we don't understand what's happening when we do not participate with what is true.
Right. Okay.
So the whole project is learning what is true.
Right.
She says that at the very beginning, what's true is true.
That's awesome. You just said the whole project is learning what is true. That's very kind of funny.
Very true.
Here's my life path.
Yeah,
right.
You wanted and my favorite metaphor or name for God is what works.
Oh yeah.
Because that's reliable.
And I like to say sacred mystery, and that's funny because in the teaching, let things be exactly as they are. I don't know what anything is for. Yeah, so it's funny.
All right, so we're at the Holy Spirit's curriculum, now in chapter 12, and we're at section 8. This is called the attraction for love. I arrive at this seemingly, a random chapter and section because. Did you know that you can read the Course in a year if you will read 12.8 pages a week?
Yes.
I think many of us do know that.
Many of us do know that by now.
So, if you do the math, it comes out about chapter 12, section 8.
That's so awesome. And I love how she titles this section, The Attraction of Love for Love.
Right.
That's
so
cool.
And so if it works, I say this is what I want to talk about. If it works at one level, it works at all levels.
Right.
Okay, the attraction of love for love.
Yeah.
So why don't you read what I've highlighted in the first paragraph?
Here we go. Hold on to your hats, y'all.
It's lovely. This is
really lovely.
This is so good,
So,
especially for Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, I think so too. So anyway, we start off on Mother's Day talking about the father.
Well, you can put mother.
We'll put mother. The mother has hidden her son safely within herself and kept him far away from your destructive thoughts. Okay. 4, love is sharing, but offer attack and love will remain hidden, for it can live only in peace.
Love can live only in peace.
Yeah.
So what's the condition? What does a mother do? We're talking about creating the conditions for a healthy child development. So what do we do?
Create the
conditions of peace.
Yeah, that's
right.
Right. Which is why I mentioned what I mentioned about the car, because I was creating conditions of peace in my mind by saying I trust my brothers.
I know there's
just
peace underneath this. I know there's resolution under this.
Right.
So what we're talking about here is our ability to see our own destructive thoughts. Right?
Yeah.
To see and be aware of when we're arguing with what is.
Right.
Just become aware. Right, the father has hidden his son safely within himself, or the mother has hidden her child safely within herself.
Yeah.
Sounds right, right? So
it does.
Love. So we're already safe. We're already at peace. We don't see it. What George was saying earlier. This beginning to recognize our own destructive thoughts, patterns of destructive thoughts, attacking the real world, complaining about appearances. This is very, very
Common
things
thoughts, yeah.
that we do. We don't, we kind of like naughty, it's kind of goes under our radar. So love is sharing, is what she says here. So love is sharing. So what we share, we love.
Wow.
What you give away is what you cherish.
Yeah, okay.
Contrary to popular belief.
Interesting.
Right? So what you share, you want more of. That's how the world works. So what do we offer to other people? Love. Who, like Yolanda always says, we create a circle of love because we are made of that love. So what do you share with other people? Yourself. Love draws love to itself.
Yeah.
Love lives only in peace. Create the conditions of peace by recognizing destructive patterns of thought behavior in our own mind and beginning to be conscious of what we're sharing with others. Step 1.
Beautiful.
Read the next paragraph.
Wow,
Or read the next.
I just love this lesson.
It's
okay.
so simple. She says it over the course is really simple.
Yeah,
and we try to make it difficult.
Okay, so next, I don't really like that sentence because that just doesn't make sense with what we're saying. So let's go to the next sentence. It is no more up to you to decide what is visible and what is invisible than it is up to you to decide what reality is. And unless God had given you a way to remember, you would have condemned yourself to oblivion.
Right. So the choice is to join what exists already, right? To join what is already living, or attack it and try to live without it. Right. So the more we decide, we no more decide what is real than we decide what we experience. Because because reality is real and what we are is real. Love is real. So that is available for us to experience, and that's what's actually happening. If it's not actually happening, and if that's not the experience that we're having, we've set up, we are now putting a filter between us and reality. We are now stepped between what is real, our opinions or our ideas have stepped between the experience of what is real and what isn't. God isn't doing this, right? It feels like an attack on our authenticity when this happens, when we can't see, when we feel like the world, when we don't feel like we have control over what we experience. It feels like an attack. It feels like disassociation. She calls this the split mind. Our authenticity actually needs nothing. Who we are and what we like and how we walk in the world actually needs nothing. It's the part that God created. That's lovely, and like, you know, that we're trying to get a handle on so we can give it away, because why? We want more of it. Right, we want more love. So what do you do if you want
Give
more
love away.
You give love away. So if love is us, what do you do if you want more love?
Give more love.
Give yourself away. Give
yourself away. That's a song.
Our authenticity actually means nothing. We're defined by God, not by the world, right? God made us, not the world. God made us, not the world. I'm made by God. What is real is made by God. And so we can't experience what is real. So she leads us in this direction, and she says, well, how do you remember? Like, how do you get, if that's all true, that's, you know, we've been talking about this, if that's all true, how do we remember reality? How do we remember our own authenticity?
And my answer to that is practice.
Oh, it is, but we're gonna.
No, but there's more.
But we're gonna. She says it in a very specific way.
She does.
Read the next piece.
Okay. A voice will answer every question you ask, and a vision will correct the perception of everything you see. God would reunite you with yourself, and did not abandon you in your distress.
Okay, I want you to say that again, because this is something that I think we overlook as our understanding about what we're sharing. Right? We're talking about sharing ourselves, right? The attraction of love for love.
Yeah.
right? The sharing of love for love. God would reunite you with yourself.
Yourself, right.
So who does God want to share you with?
You.
Yeah. Because you haven't met yourself yet.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Okay.
There's this new power that we have that we're afraid of, that we haven't met yet.
Oh, I love that.
Right, and so we actually look for and are attracted to people who display this idea, this self-possession, right? To reunite you with yourself.
Right.
God's project is to reunite you with yourself.
Reunite you with
It
yourself.
feels so good. Reunited.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Children of the 70s, what are you going to do? So then she says this.
Oh, right. Well, I'll say it in the now. You must relinquish the insane desire to control reality. Oh, that's funny.
What God placed in our hearts and minds is there, and it's going to be there. We don't have a choice about being the children of God. We didn't create reality. We are, and we never will choose what reality is that we experience. We only choose how we experience our opinions.
Oh, good point.
Right. We can deny it, but we cannot lose this connection with God. We cannot lose this living in reality, in love, living. We cannot not be any more or less love than we always have been and always will be. So remember what we did last week was this. So this formula is ask, right? Get a little bit of space between this and ask to know, ask to see, ask to understand who we are, ask to what this remembering is, ask to be introduced to yourself again.
I love that.
So if the question is, how do we get there? How do we remember? How do we know who we are and everything like that? And ask somebody who does know, right?
Yeah, the voice that likes you, Holy Spirit.
And if you don't love yourself, somebody does.
Oh, that's good too. That's a good point.
They can help you love yourself.
Right.
So how do we get to this reunion of ourselves, of the truth of who we are? How do we get to that sense of reunion? And now remember, the word religion and the word yoga come from union, reunion. Both those words mean the same thing. So this answer, how do we get to this reunion, this coming together again of ourselves? She says, release the desire to control reality.
Let's see how folks are.
Release the world to, the desire to control
Release
reality.
the desire to control reality.
Can you do that? Can we do that? Right? I don't know.
It's a sci-fi movie.
I'm better at times, sometimes than others, right?
I know.
So,
okay. The next piece is
valuing nothing.
Okay. Valuing nothing. You have sought nothing. By making nothing real to you, you have seen it. How strange. But it is not there. And Christ is invisible to you because of what you have made visible to yourself. I get it. If you're always concentrating on how people are attacking you and this is awful.
What are you sharing?
What are you sharing? Yeah.
We keep rejecting peace, actually. We keep rejecting joy, actually. We keep rejecting inner wisdom. We say, no, it can't possibly be this way.
Right.
It can't. It just can't. We don't see the world because we don't want to see the world.
Right.
We don't really want to. Because it would mean losing, right?
Well, that's what we think.
So,
but
that is basically... Read the last bit here, and we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay. So the real world was given you by God in loving exchange for the world you made and the world you see, and it goes right with today's
I know
workbook lesson.
It always does.
So I'll read that again. The real world was given you by God in loving exchange for the world you made and the world you see. Nothingness will become invisible. For you will at last have seen
truly
your
misperceptions.
Yeah.
So she says it right there.
Perception being corrected gives place to knowledge, which is forever the only reality.
Okay.
Yay.
Perception being corrected. So we see we're not seeing things that are there. We ask to know what we're seeing and who we are. Our perception is corrected. We go, oh wow, I can see past my awful opinions, and we get knowledge. And what does she say there? This knowing, this inner knowing, is
The
reality.
Yeah. The only reality.
The only reality. So release the desire to control reality. Allow perception to be corrected by asking and be willing and shaking up, loosening our opinions, right? We learned last week. Allow knowledge to generate with us. The knowledge of who we are, the truth of who we are, how excited and wonderful it is to be ourselves, to give away our authenticity. Allow this personal integrity and authenticity to develop in relationship with others, in relationship with inner wisdom. What are we sharing? We're sharing our integrity, our authenticity, our love. This brings peace, which is the conditions for knowledge and for inner way for love. So it brings love. So sharing is love, is sharing. And love is sharing, is love, is sharing.
Is love.
So that's where we are. Ding, 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 ding.
Yay, we need a bell.
Okay, really quickly, tell them what we're going to do. We're running out of time, sweetie.
Oh, I know. All right, so... Oh, okay. Jacqueline says we're cool. But anyway, so yesterday and today's lesson is, like I said at the beginning, the world I see holds nothing that I want, which was yesterday. And today's is beyond this world. There is a world I want. So I have shared this before here on this program, but what a perfect day to share it again, right? And
Ekon ka satanam karta pukanire bone ber akal more rajuni sevam guru prasad chak ad such to God such heavy such nanaka hose be such Ekon ka satanam karta pukanire bone ber akal more rajuni sevam guru prasad chak ad such to God such heavy such nanaka hose be such The world I see holds nothing that I want. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. Oh, there is a world I want. Oh, there is a world I want. Valueless. I escape the chains I've placed upon my mind and open the door to my true self and open the door to my true self.
such. Ekoncar Satanam, Karta Purkanir Bonaver, Akamure Rajini, Sevam Guru Prasadja, such, Jigat such, Baby such, Nanaka Hose be such. Ekoncar Satanam, Karta Purkanire Bonever, Akamure Rajani, Sevam Guru Prasadja, such, Jigat such, Hebi such, Nanaka Hose be such.
Or we could just play it all over again. Yay! Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. We're going to stick around for Reverend
Something
Jacqueline.
genuine.
Something genuine. Okay, thanks. Join us next week. Yay!